Welcome to Capital Conversations. I'm Marty Owings. Andy Friedel has the night off. Tonight on the program, we'll hear from Republican Senator Ted Lillie, who represents, I forget the district, Senator.
Actually, I represent Woodbury and 11 communities in the area between there and Stillwater. But the new district, after redistricting, I'll be representing is Woodbury, South Oakdale, and South Maplewood.
And what district number is that?
The new district is Senate District 53.
Senate District 53.
Yes.
Was that 54?
It was 56 previously.
56.
Yes.
And also tonight we're going to be joined here by conservative blogger Mitch Berg from shotinthedark.info and AM 1280 The Patriot, where you host a show every Saturday, 1 to 3?
That's correct.
Okay. Good to have you here, Mitch.
Likewise.
And also joining us is veteran newsman and a longtime, I guess we could say, radio host Andy Driscoll from the Truth to Tell program, which airs on KFAI. That's 90.3 FM, 9 o'clock Monday.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Monday mornings.
Yep.
Welcome, Andy. Good
Thank
to have you here. And as always, we invite you to participate in our interactive weekly political online talk show. That was long, wasn't it? I got that. So all you have to do is leave us a tweet, Twitter us at MN. Is it right to say Twitter us? Just send us a tweet at MN Cap News, or you can leave a note on our Facebook page at Minnesota Capital Conversations, and just check us out on Facebook. Leave us a note, and we'll be glad to ask your question, share your comments with our guests tonight. Okay, first up, gentlemen, there's been a lot of amendment talk as we enter this session, and obviously the marriage amendments on tap for voters this November, but there's other amendments that have been brought up. Voter ID, supermajority, several other amendments have come up. Where do you guys stand on the amendments? Let's start with you, Senator. Since you have an election certificate, tell us about where you stand on those amendments.
Sure. Thank you, Marty. Actually, on the marriage amendment, I think one of the important things is that we needed to give the voters an opportunity to voice their opinion. There are 201 legislators in the state of Minnesota. There's a governor. There are very few in the courts, and we wanted to make sure that the people of Minnesota had that opportunity to voice their opinion on this very important issue, and that's the reason that that is on the ballot. We do think that it's a crucial conversation that we should be having, and that's why we wanted to move that forward. There is talk about a number of other constitutional amendments that may reach the ballot, may not, and we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Voter ID is something that is important to a lot of people. We've had a number of hearings on that, and we'll continue to have those discussions. The supermajority, as you had mentioned, we're looking for a number of the other states are looking at supermajorities, have them in place. There are pros to that, there are challenges with it, and we need to evaluate those fully in evaluating whether to move forward or not. And then there also is right to work, which is a Freedom of Employment Act. That is something that we always have full conversations with. I had a group of about 11 union members in my office today, and we had a very frank and honest conversation about that, and I think that's important. That's something that we need to do as a state, is talk about that. Right to work itself is an issue that 23 other states do have right to work. Most of the job growth that has happened in the country has happened in the states that have right to work. But the other side might say that that the wages are a little bit less in some of those states. So this is a conversation that's very important to the state of Minnesota and the vitality as we go forward. Because ultimately what we want to do is make sure that Minnesotans are put back to work, that we can fully engage and grow our economy as we move forward.
Well, before you jump in here, Mitch, I want to give Andy Driscoll a chance to weigh in here. Now, some on the opposite side of the fence have called right to work, that's a euphemism. They've said it's a euphemism. Where do you and your listeners, who are more left-leaning, stand on this issue?
Well, I think it's safe to say that I oppose the right to work amendment, if that's what we're focusing on now. Actually, I oppose them all for a lot of different reasons, obviously. But I almost wish they were all on the ballot, because if they're all on the ballot, then it's likely that a lot of voters will simply not bother to vote, and that's good for us, because that means it's a no vote if they don't vote, and we like that. But I will say that the right to work law, any right to work law, is contrary to the basic philosophy of collective bargaining, in which it's either all for one or one for all, in that those who are not members of a union in a given work setting are benefiting from the largesse that was created by the union bargaining unit, but if they're allowed to opt out under the right to work law, then they are benefiting from a union, but not participating in the local, and not participating in that effort. So, but they're going to have the wages that were negotiated by the union. They're going to have the benefits negotiated by the union, and yet not be a member of the union. So the fact that they can somehow opt out of that seems to me to be unfair in every respect, and it sort of throws in the face of the collective bargaining process and principle.
Well, Mitch Berg, is this about collective bargaining, or is this about me being able to say, no, I don't want to belong to a union, or where is that?
It's about saying, it's about basically forcing the unions to justify their existence to the workers rather than making it a de facto condition of employment. Unlike most Democrats, I've actually been a union member, and I've paid I had the option of paying fair share. I opted in for a variety of reasons. I come from a union family. I got nothing against unions. I mean, I had 2 grandparents, my father, my sister, all union members, as was I. Have absolutely no problem with unions.
As was I.
Well, excellent. So we agree. It's about making unions justify their existence. I'm going to take issue with Andy on one thing. I think these issues.
Just one, Mitch?
Oh, I could probably find a few.
Okay, all right.
Get out of here at 20.
All right.
Yeah,
Keep talking, Mitch.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. I think these issues are going to bring a lot of people out to the polls, and as Andy said correctly, if people don't show up but don't vote, leave a blank ballot on the issue, it's a no vote. But one of the things, I'm not especially a zealot on the marriage amendment personally, but having been married, I mean, that would explain a lot. But no, seriously, those were a Lawrence poll that came out in fall of 2010 that indicated that Tom Emmer left an awful lot of votes on the table by not emphasizing marriage as a key issue in his campaign. The anti-marriage amendment crowd, I think, is gambling on the idea that a lot of Minnesotans don't care that much, and I think the Lawrence poll show that a significant plurality of them do, in fact. So your hopes may be dashed, Andy.
Oh no, I think generally speaking, and I'm feeling
We'll get back to you in a second.
A sense of momentum opposed to the marriage amendment. That, if anything is going to really go down, I think that's the thing that's going to go down. I really do believe that the marriage amendment is an intrusion on about 25 or 30% of the population, either families of or certainly members of the communities that deserve to have the opportunity to marry. If they're in a committed relationship, they ought to be able to marry. And if they're in a committed relationship, it should make no difference what gender they are. Well, it just doesn't make sense to me.
And by the way, I'm with you as far as that, and perhaps differ from Senator Lillie to a certain extent. For example, a lot of us who oppose, who have a traditional view of marriage, are willing to meet the gay community halfway, but we are told that we are hung up on a word, the word marriage, because if we observe the religious significance of the term. Right, okay. So we say, okay, well, we'll meet you halfway. How about we go with civil unions? Because it's all about getting their rights, right? It's about getting the same rights that people in traditional marriage have. So, well, no, then the word's not the same. Okay, who is it who's hung up on the word here? I think we can agree to meet halfway on this, though, right, Andy?
Well, it's possible that I would say that one of the problems with I mean, if you're going to define marriage in statute, then you should really open it up to everyone. I can't see any good reason not to. Huh? If you're going to try to restrict that definition, then it seems to me that you have, you're really slicing off a whole large sector of the population that doesn't deserve, mostly gay people, yes. But so these committed relationships should be, and of course, you can say marriage. If it's going to be called marriage in law, then it should be marriage for everyone. If it's going to be called a civil union, then it should be a civil union for everyone.
Andy, no, I understand.
Yeah,
let me hit Senator Lillie with this. Senator Lillie, you know, we're on a limited time. We got to move to some other issues, but to follow up on this, there's laws already on the books. I understand that.
Yes.
Right. I mean, so
Yes.
so why the push to make it? Why a marriage amendment if there are already laws that say that gay people can't get married?
Yes. Well, Marty, the challenge is that it is in statute, and by the way, it is in statute because of a bipartisan support. Democrats have voted for this, Republicans have voted for this. It came through a Democrat-led Senate when that was passed. So it is in statute. However, in many states, judges are overturning what is in statute. So by putting it in the Constitution, it is there permanently. And again, this is an opportunity for the people of Minnesota to make the decision. We all should have a voice in this very important decision, and that's why it's important to have the constitutional amendment.
Hang on a second now. Right, but then there's other issues that come up here we'd like to have a voice and we don't get that, so you guys just get to pick and choose. Then why even have elected officials up here if we're going to put everything to amendment?
Right.
And that's what I'm wondering, because we got 4 or 5 amendments on slate, you know.
Yep.
When is it, you know, and it's easy to, I won't take shots, but it's easy to pick on the legislature, right?
Sure.
What do the poll numbers say? They hate you anyway. But
well, they may not like the legislature, but they like us individually.
Right,
That's what we have
individually,
found.
maybe when they meet on the street, yeah.
Your people like you, but they
to-
don't like the good people you work with.
Yes.
Yeah,
But to
I
answer
like the idea of proctology in principle. I just don't want to go to the doctor myself. You know.
Well,
Anyway,
we're not going to cover that one. But
Right,
honestly,
no, we're
the
not
answer to
gonna
your
cover
question
that.
is this. The answer is that this is not atypical.
Right.
We as a legislature, as a legislative body, over the years have had many times that
Right.
we've had 3, 4 constitutional amendments on the ballot. So this is something that has happened regardless who's in charge.
Okay.
So this is something that's been there. So it is not atypical.
Well, you're
3
talking
or
about
4,
defense of
that's
marriage.
pretty heavy, Senator.
well,
I mean, one
and-
of the things I would suggest to you is that it's a way to avoid the governor. Because you have a Democratic governor and a Republican legislature, you can avoid the governor by going to the ballot instead of sort of biting the bullet and passing legislation like the gun legislation.
He says that like it's a bad thing.
You're right.
No one wants to
That's
be.
how legislation works.
Let's turn to a couple other issues here where we still have time. There's been a lot of talk this session. You know, we came up here at the beginning of the session, and all the Republicans and Democrats want to talk about was jobs, jobs, jobs.
Yes.
Apart from the governor coming forward with a $700 billion plus bonding bill, we haven't seen anything except for divisive social issues being debated on here in both the Senate and the House floor. When are you guys going to get to jobs?
Actually, I understand that conversation or that point of view, and sometimes the media, not this show but other shows, will lay that out as what is happening. But the truth is, and I'll give one to the governor here, the governor has come out with a jobs bill. He has a number of bills that he's putting forward, asking us to look at, and we have heard those bills in a number of committees. We've heard those bills in the Jobs Committee, we've heard them in other committees, so we'll continue to talk about those issues. The Republicans in the Senate and in the House also spent a lot of time this summer talking about Reform 2.0. Now, what is Reform 2.0?
Yeah,
Most
really,
people,
it sounds
most people
neat.
really don't know what that is. But what Reform 2.0 was, it was an opportunity to go out to the community and talk to our constituents and find out what is really important to you. Yeah. And we heard a number of things. We heard that jobs continues to be the thing that they want us here working on.
People are struggling. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So we need to be working on that. We need to be working on reform issues. We need to be working on permitting, to speed up permitting. Anything that we can do as a legislature and a government to streamline government, to allow the private sector to succeed and to hire more people is something that is good for Minnesota. Now, in Minnesota in the last year, the private sector has hired over 39,000 people.
Yeah.
So we have 39,000 more people working again in the private sector, and that's a wonderful situation.
Does
now,
President Obama get any credit for that?
I'll give Obama credit for some of that.
Well,
well, we have to. And the reason that I'll
well, I'm just asking because
from my perspective,
I don't know if executives can really be either blamed for or
That's true.
Or
I
given
was hoping,
credit
yeah,
for
I was wondering if
all
you'd
the
say
job creation or not creation
Yes.
that goes on.
what we can offer to the private sector is clarity, is
Okay.
vision going forward, so that if they are going to invest money in their business. If a small business person, man or woman,
Right.
is going to put a mortgage on their home and invest it in their business, that they can have a potential of a reasonable return from that.
Okay.
That if they hire people, if they hire Minnesotans, that they could get a return from doing that. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying
Private
to provide
sector.
clarity in government going forward, that we will free up the job creators to hire more people, put people back to work. And by the way,
Yep.
the side benefit of that is that the tax roll grows, and that we will
Yeah.
have more income as a state, and that truly is how we work our way out of this situation.
Mitch, what about people that say, well, okay, that's fair enough. Jobs 2.0 went out and listened to the business community. Did they listen enough to the regular guy out there looking for work?
Well, who is the regular guy? I mean, I guess that's. I happen to believe that they did listen to the people who do the hiring. They want the government to get out of the way and roll back some of the needless regulations that sprang up over the last number of sessions here, and basically unchain the business community. That's the big difference between Republicans and Democrats. You have the Democrats reciting the chanting point, where's the jobs bill? Like government can mandate that people go out and hire people. That would be a fine bill, wouldn't it, Senator? Whereas Republicans want to get out of industry's way and let the market solve the problems, which, by the way, for the last 2 years, it largely has been.
The market has always been, it's been controlled essentially by corporations all along the way. If they're going to invest, they're going to invest. It's not going to be the government's regulations that stifle job development any more than it has been, as much as not having them has spawned new jobs. It hasn't done that either. Let me just, one other thing I want to point out. In just the front page of the newspaper, I believe it was Monday, yesterday, there was, or Sunday perhaps, it was the Star Tribune talked about, and this has been going on for a long time, how the income of the middle class has sort of dropped through the floor. And the problem is that, we have now seen this great gap widening between the haves and the have-nots. And if the middle class is hurting that much, how is it that we can't find some way to stimulate that, and bring on something that will really bring jobs, and it may be public service jobs.
Perhaps a bill to force the upper and lower quintiles together. Maybe that would do the trick.
Well, be that as it may, we're running out of time, so I want to hit you.
Right.
Apart from not talking about jobs and apart from talking about divisive social issues, I'm not talking about you, Mitch. I'm talking about the legislature and the governor.
They've been doing the job behind, just isn't getting into the strib and carry on. Sorry, it's your show.
Okay,
now.
well, you're ever the usurper. So the other thing is that the other thing that's been talked about a lot is stadium. Will a Vikings deal get done? Is it important? Is it on the radar, Senator Lillie? The governor says it's done. It's ready to go. There's a long way from saying something's done and from actually breaking ground out there. What do you think?
Gosh, we have been hearing about stadium. It's here. It's right on the cusp. It's coming. We're ready to go. It's, we have a bill. We don't have a bill.
Right.
I think there's a lot of fatigue. I think the legislators on both sides are looking at this issue and saying, we want the Vikings in Minnesota. We want them to stay. It's part of our quality of life. It's part of our future. It's part of our heritage. At the same time, we still don't have a bill. We're still waiting for a bill. So to say I support or I don't support, it's very hard to take any position until we really know.
Right.
We do have one bill, but it's not the Vikings bill.
Right.
So we need to look at that bill, and we need to look at the other bills when it comes.
What bill do you have that it's not the Vikings bill? What's that?
Senator Chamberlain put in a stadium bill that looked to the business community to support the stadium venture a little bit more. So there is a bill on the stadium that has been presented.
Well, there's the Saints too. They're looking for a
Yes,
stadium.
yes.
Oh, of course. Yes.
The regional ballpark, yes.
Right.
So where do you, Mitch, does it even make the radar?
I'm a Bears fan, so I really don't care
Oh, God.
But really,
the
no,
ratings just plummeted on
I'll
the
tell you,
program.
let them plummet.
Oh, jeez.
No, Bears.
That's
No, seriously, though, in all seriousness, the bill that we have, I believe, is Bach, the Bach proposal that Dayton got behind this past week, is based on a couple of absolutely unsupportable ideas. A, that the Minneapolis City Council is going to gleefully divert all of the convention city money. Yeah, right. That's their nest egg. And also that somehow charitable gambling, which just dropped 30% in the past decade, is somehow going to double its proceeds to oblige the Vikings. Not going to happen. Andy and I agree. We thought.
Yeah, no, we definitely agree on this issue. Because as far as I'm concerned, of course, any public resources going to a professional sports stadium should be out of the question.
You don't like it.
I hate it. I hate it, no matter what.
Quickly, we got to wrap up, but let's turn to national politics. A conservative, a liberal, and an independent go into the bar, and the bartender says, "Hey, Mitt." Okay, I just thought. My dad told me that joke today, and he's a Republican. Come on, nothing from you guys?
Yeah. It took a minute.
Out of respect to your father, I'll.
Well, let me come on. Well, he's a good Republican. let me ask you this then.
It's a good Republican joke.
Yeah, well, he likes to crack wise once in a while. What are we going to get out of tonight? It's Super Tuesday. Who's going to come out of the Republican, the group that's out there right now? I'll start with you, Andy. Who do you think's going to
Actually, I'm really not sure. Obviously, if Santorum does well in Ohio, it's going to be a real battle on the convention floor. But I don't think he is. I think Santorum may have peaked, and my guess is that Mitt Romney is beginning that money, all of that money, is beginning to take hold, and that he is probably creeping toward the nomination. I don't. None of these guys want to go away, but I think they're going to have to if there's any serious problems.
We're over time. Your producer's having apoplexy. I'm just going to say this is the sign of Romney's ground game that he's organized for the last 4 years, and all that money showing up. It's been mission accomplished for their conservatives who've actually been able to pull Romney to the right. So I think he's going to come out of this with the nomination. I think he'll win tonight, but that's just my opinion.
I think this is why we're here. I mean, this is why we're in the game. This is why we're watching what's happening on the national stage. We want to know what happens tonight. And probably your viewers are going to know more about it than we are as we're commenting right now, because we've been sitting here talking about it. But no, I think this is exciting. This is democracy in action, and I can't wait to see what happens tonight.
I wish we could just have regional primaries and get the thing over with a lot sooner.
Should we have sword play?
Well, yes. Well, there is that.
Sword play. All right.
Leave it to Mitch to go right to the
I
violence
like that.
and blood and gore.
I like the idea.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for stopping by the program tonight. And Senator Lillie, I know Speaker Sviggum had to pull you out of caucus to come on, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for filling in.
Nice to have you, Senator.
And your credit to your brother. Even though he's a Democrat, he's the one we don't talk about at family gatherings, right?
Oh, no. He's
he
wonderful.
does?
We have a great time talking. Yes.
Oh,
I'm the exception in our family.
I see.
Oh, are you really?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Are you a biker like your brother?
Not like him.
Yeah, he
Leon
biked.
biked across the country.
Yes, he did.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
And he likes to tell me, I'm not like my brother. I throw bags for a living out at the airport. He's always telling me, and he's a union guy, right?
Yes,
Mitch,
he is.
I always tune in to hear the latest in conservative talk radio on AM 1280 The Patriot, and I also check out your blog at shotinthedark.info.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Well,
Oh, God. I love that.
I hope he's listening. Andy Driscoll, I always listen to your show, Truth to Tell, and have many times been more informed listening to it than not. And,
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on.
This is fun.
Truthtotell.org.
Truthtotell.org.
Okay.
Yeah, they can go up and all the podcasts are up there from previous shows.
All right, every Monday at 9 a.m. on 90.3 FM KFAI, you can catch Andy's show, Truth to Tell.
And KFAI.org if you have to stream it. You can do
Senator Lillie, do you have a podcast or
I do
website
not.
you want to
I'm left in the dark here.
Your
I don't know.
re-election.
Have your people call my people.
You got a Twitter account or something?
Speaker Swiggum's over there. He came on my show a couple of times.
He's on the set.
Yeah.